Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, my calling card. I am bringing you this program today, um, basically an update on what I believe was my calling from God. But before I get into that, I must restate the fact that I believe that, let me say, the purpose of the angelic troublemakers is based on my belief that uh, we need more angelic troublemakers in the world who are people who are making social change happen without all of the nonsense. Protesting in the streets, vandalizing, burning down buildings, graffiti, and all of that stuff. And the term comes from a civil rights great by the name of Bayard Rustin, who I've mentioned on this program before. He's the one who is credited with bringing the 250,000 people who came to hear the I Have a Dream speech in 1963 by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This civil rights great came up with the term angelic troublemakers. Now, I must also state that I believe uh, you can't make it to heaven by raising hell on earth. So I'm not trying to raise hell, I'm trying to raise awareness. But let me tell you where I came up with that term, you can't make it to heaven by raising hell on earth. 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, I was on a Muni bus. I'm sitting in the front of the bus, and a young man gets on the bus. And he walks past, and he has a jacket on that, when you look at all how he's dressed, it was obvious he was a gang member. And on the back of his jacket, he had RIP and then his buddy's nickname. And a thought came to me of how confused this young man was. In the gang life, most gang members are running around doing whatever they do, causing havoc. And then one of their buddies gets killed in all of this stuff, and you have the nerve to say RIP on the back of your jacket? That's where I came up with the term, you can't make it to heaven by raising hell on earth. Now, I'm not saying the young man's friend went to hell. I'm basically saying that there is a confusion when you think that you can run around on earth doing all kind of havoc and then end up having a peaceful ending of life. There's some gangs, these young people aren't, though they're in a gang, they're not running around causing havoc. So I do understand that just because you're labeled in a gang, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a gangbanger, if you will. But the fact that my calling uh, is my calling card. This is a calling card that I created more than 10 years ago. Now, I know you can't see, but let me press this button here. My screen is playing games on me. This is what it is. This picture on the front is that picture. And it says California clemency, power to put the justice system back on track And if you notice, though it may not be easy to tell, I commissioned this. I had a young man create for me a locomotive showing its power coming from the sky and going onto some train tracks. Because it was my opinion that we have a justice system that is off track. And so the power of this locomotive coming from the sky and coming onto tracks was my point. And so the website, which I have used, I created this maybe 10 years ago. And it says, "Welcome to California Clemency." And my slogan here is, "The only thing I love more than justice is the freedom to fight for it." Now, when I say the only thing I love more than justice is the freedom to fight for it, I am basically respecting this country and the, shall we say, freedom that we have to express ourselves and make change happen. The website may change soon, so I don't want to give the name. Well, I'll give the name. It's titled currently casegain.squarespace.com. But I will be changing the name because things are moving along. Now, I bring this up because this is an update. More than, I think it was 19 years ago, in the year 2000, I came up with an idea for prison reform. I am a prison reform activist, have been since 1993. And my calling card, which has my information on the back, if you see here, this calling card is 10 years old. So I came up with this idea 19 years ago, and I've been sharing it for the years. And so I'm saying that for all of the things that people are so impatient with in life, I say wait on the Lord. Because I know the reason why I was put on this earth was for prison reform. Now, does it matter that I have to wait 19, 20, and possibly longer to basically get my prison reform issue together? Not at all. Now, if you notice, ooh, look at that young man. Former President Barack Obama is on here. If you notice further down, I have constitutional amendment proposal. I know you can't see that, but I have written this idea out thoroughly. And I made some adjustments to it over the years. But the fact is, I honestly believe that God is going to help me make this all become law. Well, what is it? It is based on the California Three Strikes Law. I was watching the well-respected 60 Minutes program in 2000. And this was a few years after we passed the Three Strikes Law. And the governor at the time was named Governor Gray Davis. He was telling 60 Minutes, in a 60 Minutes interview, he was trying to justify a 25-year prison sentence for a man who stole a bicycle under the Three Strikes Law. Then it hit me. Clemency is in the wrong hands. Clemency is the greatest tool in criminal justice, because no matter what, if you're granted clemency, a pardon, forgiveness, there's nothing that can be done to take that away. Now, if you'll notice, on the federal issue, stick with me, the president has the power to pardon anyone of a federal offense. And he has used it to not only pardon some people who we really don't think need to be pardoned, but he's dangled it around in his shenanigans, hoping that the people who he was hoping kept their mouth closed while they were going through their legal criminal issues that involved the president, he was dangling around the possibility of a pardon for them. So even on the federal level, there's this possibility we can have a pardon system that's in a new, in being created, that is not in control of the president. Now, every state has its criteria. Well, in California, I'm saying that what I created was well thought out. It got an awful lot of assistance in conversations with some very respected lawyers and professors over my clemency ideal. So it's not like I just jumped out of bed and wrote something. And the fact that I believe that we have a situation where the clemency powers in this country are in the wrong hands, we can change it. And the fact that I have had this ideal for 19 years, I see real soon this clemency deal has life. Sure, it's been a pie in the sky dream of mine. And I have no hesitation in the fact that I think that this will see the light of day. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I tried to give this ideal to Stanford University. I sent it to Stanford and wanted to give it to them, the students, hoping that they will do something with it. They basically threw the thing in the garbage. Maybe I sent it to the wrong person, but there was a professor and there was some program there, and I thought, a few years ago. So I sent off a letter, tried to give it to them, and I don't think that people understood it. But I'm going to explain it, its purpose. We have to look at the fact that there are 58 counties in California. And I believe that when the governor decides to pardon somebody, most likely that person is going to go back to one of the 58 counties. The person's not going to come to the governor's mansion or the governor's home. No, he's going to come back to one of the 58 California counties. So why is it that the governor, who has all kind of other things to do, why can't we have a situation where the people, average voters, people who sit on juries, decide who is worthy of a pardon or not? So I came up with this deal where you have 5 people from each county paid, volunteer, meaning you don't have to do it, but we're going to compensate you $100 a day for different cases that come before the pardon board, the new pardon board. And what it'll do is, let's just say, as I mentioned, this man who was serving a 25-year to life sentence for stealing a bicycle, he was thought that it was unjust sentence. All he would do is submit a request to the pardon board, and they would be able to rule. What do you think the possibility of 5 people looking at that case only, not his background, but that case only, are going to do? They're going to rule this is an unjust sentence and grant him a pardon. The point is, we have too many overzealous prosecutors doing some things that I say have filled up too many prisons. I just read recently that there's a man currently in a prison 30 years on a marijuana conviction. There are some people, one man was exonerated after spending 30 years for a crime he did not commit. Suppose that individual had DNA evidence to prove he did not commit the crime. Well, instead of going through the different layers of appeals and knocked down because some judge doesn't want to read through the whole mess, or is taking the state at its word that everything was done properly, this person would have the ability to take it to the clemency board. And all of this new clemency board in this person's county, the same county that sent him off to prison, all he would have to do is give it to this county clemency board, and that clemency would be able to look at the DNA evidence, whereas the layers of appeals and appeals and appeals and appeals that many people, many convicted individuals are going through to get justice. This is a streamline, beeline, if you will, to getting justice. No human being should be forced to spend 10, 15, 20, and 25 years and beyond in prison while waiting for justice to catch up. Shouldn't happen. So, by having each county have its own clemency board, I believe something could be turned around to where individuals who are innocent of crime or victims of injustice on the part of the state can get their issue heard and corrected real quickly. Now, some people say, oh, well, now, wait a minute, Alan, that ain't going to work. Well, your objections are based on your level of research. I believe in the people of this country to make a common sense decision on what is just and what is unjust. Too often, we have people who are in the criminal justice system who are there based on the fact that somebody had it in for them. We've heard of police setting up individuals. We've heard of false confessions. You know, we've heard of all kinds of different things. Let me tell you something. I recently ran into somebody and they swore up and down they knew me. And I know I never seen this person before in my life. And the person just acted like they knew me. And I said, all right, if you say so. I didn't want to argue with the person. But they just insisted that they knew me. Well, as it comes to find out, after we went around and around and around on, yeah, okay, all right. Then the person said to me, you didn't have those crutches the last time I saw you. Well, I've always been on crutches. So it's obvious that the person mistook me for someone else. And for this to happen, I can, then mistakes in identity happen. I get it. But I'm saying that there's a better way to correct those mistakes. And I know people thinking, well, you can't do it. No, people, no, you're going to have the wrong people on this panel. No, I've thought that out. And it's all laid out. Here's the issue. It's going to take millions of dollars to get this to become law. And I'm saying God has put me in a position to where the millions of dollars to make this become law is coming my way. I know you're thinking, well, what are you talking about? All I'm saying is I have many things that I have believed God for. And God has never let me down. The timing on these things were, I always understood this or that will be done in God's time, not Alan's time. And so while I have waited 19 years for, it ain't coming. Well, I don't know, folks. Though I have waited 19 years for California clemency, ooh, look at this ghost. We need new equipment here. That's a nice look. I'm saying that this issue is going to become law. And I like the fact that people might think, it'll never happen. See, if God says it's going to happen, it'll happen. And if God ain't in it, why would I want it to work? And I'm saying that things are looking up. And because things are looking up for me in this situation, I am here to just say, I have waited on something for 19, it will be 20 years. and I'm going to see it come to pass. Now, how long will Alan live? Well, I don't know. But I will say that everything is in place. I don't have to be around. But I'm saying that God will complete what he started in me. It's in the Bible. And because God will complete it, I'm not worried about dropping off before the job is done. When is my job going to be completed? I don't know. And quite frankly, I have lived a good life. I can honestly say that when my day comes, I'm going to be ready to go. Why? Because I just want to do God's will and call it a day. I have no dreams of living to be 99 years old. Or I have a great aunt, lived to be 105. And so I have no real desires to live a long life. I just want to do the will of the Lord. And for too many of us, we're looking to live long lives and stuff like that. And a lot of it has regrets in it. No. I want to live to do what I was put here on this earth. And though it started by going to church some 30 years ago, 35 years ago, and then it kept moving up, and I began to get education on this and that. I don't even remember when I came to the belief that I was put on this earth for prison reform. But it came to me. And I'm looking forward to completing it. And there's a few things that are going on in my life right now, very exciting. And because they're very exciting, I feel more confident in saying to anyone out there, if you have a dream, if you have a desire to see something done, let me see if I can't pull something up here. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to pull this up because my thing is acting funny here. But t-shirt, I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. Ooh, things are working, people. If you notice what the t-shirt says, wake up and dream big. Now, I like that. Wake up and dream big. Well, that's what I've done in my life. And I woke up and I'm dreaming big. And I recommend you do the same. And when you look at the fact that, well, wait a minute, I'm an impatient person. Well, then, I have no answer to that. If you're impatient, then go back to sleep. Because this is not for those who are, life is really not for the impatient. Life is for people who know that there is a God. And when you really look at all of the things in life that we go through, you'll find out. But I'm saying it's a great thing. And I see it coming to pass. And I am excited that I put something on a calling card 10 years ago. And it's going to happen. So until next time, enjoy those warriors. What in the world?